Hi everyone!
Today I am in company with some guests and we're going to talk about how to get free accommodation while traveling. Especially we're going to talk about house sitting. So special guests on the channel today are Ivana from
Slovakia
and Gianni from
Italy. From the
Apulia.
south.
Yes, because I'm from Italy too, but from another region completely different. So you guys are digital nomads since 6 years and you have a blog which is called Nomad is Beautiful, from which you make most of your income. And I will put the link down below. Go check it out also. And as any digital nomad, you try to cut costs of accommodation, of course.
Exactly.
When did you start with house sitting?
We started doing house sitting in 2015, which was 2 years after we started traveling. And our first house sit was in England, Brighton.
What is house sitting? Let's explain to people who don't know what it is.
I like to explain it in a very simple way. So you would imagine it's very similar to babysitting, but you are taking care of someone's house, flat, and an animal instead of a baby while the owner is away. Usually the owners go on a vacation or they just need to go for a business trip or for a longer time to a hospital, and they don't want to put their pets to a kennel, which is also quite expensive in some countries. And they just want to make their pets happy, not to move them around, to leave them at the relatives, so they would just leave them in the house. And then that's the moment when a house sitter arrives and you are staying there basically for free. As you said, 99% you can stay there for free. It happens that if you stay for a very long time, like 2, 3, 4 or more months, you can share the expenses for the electricity or water bills. It happened to us only once though in those 4 years. And the owner leaves you the keys, and you have to be just a very trustworthy person to do that, and have to love animals as well. And if you want to apply for a house sit in the countryside, you should love gardening, or at least be able or willing to do quite a lot of jobs, especially in summer, like watering, weeding, and so on.
Okay. And Gianni, how many websites there are, and what is the website that you use?
We use one that is called Trust House Sitters, which is probably the most famous, and is also the most expensive. It costs like $100 per year, both as an house sitter or as a host. And we like it because it's very user friendly. It's and there are a lot of assignments. Basically, all the opportunities that you can find all around the world. And there are others that they are cheaper. Some of them they are free, but we prefer this one. There are also Facebook groups nowadays where you can find assignments, but we don't suggest so much Facebook groups because if something happens, you don't have the security of the website that can keep tracks of emails, the communication. Also, there is no customer service. Also, there is some for the owners of US and UK now. There is a kind of insurance if something happens in the house. So going to Facebook groups is just on the word of the person, and we heard sometimes very strange cases, like a person they just give up like 3 days before going there, and the people they have booked the flight, so it's not so reliable. I suggest a lot of trusted house sitters, and others they are called Nomador. There is another one called Mind My House, but we didn't like so much, and honestly we didn't find so many assignments there that they were worth.
Let's talk numbers now for a moment. How many house sitting experience have you had in these last years, and what was the shortest one and what was the longest one?
Okay, so now we are doing house sit number 16 in Milan, and in we did it also in Europe, in Asia, so it's not only one continent. And what was the other question?
The longest and the shortest
The longest
one.
and shortest. The shortest one was 2 days in Ho Chi Minh City when we took care of a dog, and the longest one was 3 months in Turkey, where the owners liked us and we liked them, and they were happy about how we took care of the house and their cat. So they called us back, and we returned for another 3 months the same year.
So you were, Gianni, telling me that exactly this. If you have had a very good experience, and especially your hostess had a very good experience with you, it's very much likely that when they go back on holiday or whatever, they will call you back, right?
Exactly. It happened 3 times, I think, that we went back. Yeah, it happened more times that the owners would just call us back, but we were not free at that time, so we just couldn't commit. And basically, in all cases where we were, they called us back, but we couldn't. So it happens. Yeah.
Sometimes we say yes, sometimes we say no, just because maybe we are too far from the location. So, but we accepted to go back 3 times. Yeah.
Okay. Now this is for more advanced members of the house sitting community, but how it is possible to start? This is my main question, because I would like to start myself, actually, since I started traveling full time, so it's almost a couple of years now. But I've always been worried that it's too difficult to get your first references. Who wants to answer to this one?
Yeah, me, you.
Yeah. Go.
You are a very experienced couch surfer, so for you it will be quite easy, or for anyone who uses services like couch surfing or other platforms of hosting or being hosted. The main secret is to create a perfect profile, meaning you should upload as many pictures as possible with you and pets, with a content expression, so not cat scratching you or dog pulling you back or barking at you, and telling as much as possible in your profile where you would register on the platform about yourself, why you are doing house sitting, because many people who would like to start, they just consider house sitting as a free accommodation, which is and which is not, because someone will need to pay at the end for the bills. But it shouldn't be like first plan idea, okay, I'm gonna stay for 2 months for free and I will just put some food for the cat and that's it. Doesn't work like that. You should really love animals, or be very responsible person to take care of the house, because it's a lot of responsibility. It's much fun, but people should realize that the owners put 100% trust in you when they give you the keys and when they close the door. And then one important thing for the very beginners is to ask your friends, neighbors, brothers, cousins, previous colleagues or bosses for the references. Previous landlords, that's true, that they would just write few sentences that you are a reliable person, not messy, so the owner who would read your profile will know, okay, that guy I can leave alone there. So once you upload your pictures, some websites allow also upload short clips, and you explain who you are, what you do, and why you love animals, and especially what is your also experience with animals. So that's very important to say, yeah, I used to have a dog, or I used to have a cat, or I used to have take care of my sister's pets.
For example, yeah.
Or someone was volunteering either in a shelter or has some vet experiences, some course, or is a vet that would help, but it's not a condition at all.
Now I'm gonna ask you, what are the positive sides and the negative sides of house sitting in your experience?
Okay, for us, I think there are more pros than cons, and these are starting from, of course, cutting the cost of accommodation, As a digital nomads, this is really important. The other one is getting into routine, because we work online. We need often to slow down, to have our own desks, and we cannot work always on the beds of hostels or hotels, or cafes. So we like to have that feeling of home that we don't have actually. So we are in the homes of other people, and the other thing is getting to know the neighborhood where we live, so we can slow travel, we can know the city better where we are, we can do day trips around. So you really have a good knowledge of the city, the country you are visiting. So you become really a local for those moments, for those days. Last but not least, to have pets, and so to look after pets, because we love cats and dogs, and we miss some time to cuddle them, and so for us this is a chance to stay surrounded by animals, and to have this moment of regular life. For the cons, I will say there are not so many. One of the cons is that you cannot leave the house for a long time, because of course cats and dogs, they need a lot of human presence, especially the dogs. So you can't go like sleeping outside the city for 1 night, 2 nights. Some owners, they do. They tell you, but usually when it's a dog, so you want to stay back home and sleep at home. So you always stay in the same place. You can't travel too much when you are doing house sitting, and this is one of the things. And I think.
Do you want to add something else?
Maybe one more pro is that while you are house sitting, you sometimes might arrive to some incredible places, especially in remote areas where you wouldn't have ended up otherwise, because you wouldn't look for them. So it happened to us a few times, like in Portugal, Turkey or Belgium, that we were in a small villages where we had amazing time. It was summertime, and I would never even think of it to travel there and to visit. So we had an opportunity, as Gianni said, to live local life in a very remote areas.
Yeah, I like this one very much actually, because also, if you follow my channel, I try to promote these areas that are very beautiful, but they are not touristy because they are not marketed. So, but also they don't have crowds of tourists, so they are perfect to enjoy a vacation or a trip. Ivan, I wanted to ask you also, budget-wise, how much did you save during these years by doing house sitting? And also, it's interesting to know, for who is watching us, how much would a host save by calling someone to do house sitting instead of, for example, putting a dog in a kennel or something?
Mm-hmm. So I haven't counted all expenses that we would save. I counted only once. It was year 2017 when we did the most house sits. It was 7 of them in different countries in Asia and Europe. It was Vietnam, Singapore, Turkey, Belgium, France, and some others in Vietnam. So it was mostly Asia at the end of the year. But I counted, and we saved in those 7 months in total 7,500 euros. Obviously, in countries like Vietnam, it's already budget friendly, right, for accommodation wise. But in a country like Singapore, where we stayed for 3 weeks looking after 2 parrots, we would be never able to afford like staying in the center of Singapore for such long time. So that's approximately what we saved. And for example, in New Orleans, that we were last summer, we stayed there 2.5 months. Usually people who sit in the US, Australia, New Zealand, UK, you save more because if you count how much is just a hostel or hotel, it already pays off. And regarding the owners, I I'm not sure about the prices in all countries, but I know the cheapest one, when we once talked to an owner, it would cost him to put a cat in a kennel for 1 week, one cat, $120. Yeah, so we are talking about very budget-friendly country in Southeast Asia. I'm not sure how are the prices in Europe, and that was just for 1 week and one cat. Now imagine you have 3 of them, yeah, so it's much more.
Gianni, one important question. What are the ways that you can improve the chances to get chosen? Are there some ways, some tips that you can give us?
Okay, there is the first tip I will give you is when you apply for an assignment, try to read first of all the assignment, try to understand what they are looking for, what is the commitment that they are asking, and always write a personalized message to the owner. So don't just write, "Oh, hello, I wanna house sit for you, I like your dogs and cats, and that's it, bye bye." No, try to write a nice message and show that you have read their assignment, and also for the email, try to inspire trust. The second one I will say is if you are chosen, they reply to you, you are still at the level that you are not sure if you will be accepted. So I will say just propose to the owners a Skype chat. Skype chat for us is the most important thing, because you establish the first real contact, even if it's virtual, and so you can see their faces, they will see you, and you can see the house, the pets, you can ask questions, so they can visually trust you. Okay, and the third tip is, especially for trusted house sitters, if you're gonna use this platform, they have an app that you can download, and this app you can basically set for notification. You can set up to 10 countries that you are looking for house sitting, and so basically when there is a new assignment, you will get a notification on your mobile with saying there is a new house sit available in New York or in London, everywhere you have set the countries. So these 3 tips, because overall it's important to be as fast as possible. When you read a commitment, you have to be really fast to reply, because imagine some owners, especially in very popular locations like New York, as soon as they publish the assignment, they get hundreds of messages. So the sooner you apply, the better.
Okay guys, thank you so much for all the tips. I can't wait to try house sitting right now, and you guys are gonna know about it because I'm gonna put everything in my vlogs.
Good luck.
Thanks. And the good news is, guys, for all of us, that these 2 people have just published an ebook about house sitting. So I will put the link in the description below if you want to buy it or check it out. What is it gonna be about?
The ebook will be very extensive guide to house sitting. It's basically for not only for the first timers in house sitting, but also some advanced tips how to proceed, how to get a house sit, what to do during the house sit and after. And there will be also some stories from our house sit that we never mentioned before.
There are also some tips from owners, secret tips that will help you to get your first assignments.
How the owners choose a house sitter.
Perfect. And guys, check out also their channel, because they are on YouTube too.
The channel is called with our names, simply Gianni and Ivana, and we speak about food, travel, and digital nomad lifestyle. So check out our channel, and if you like, just subscribe.
I will put the link down below. Thank you guys, and
you.
see
Thank you,
you.
Mary Jane.
Happy trips.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.